Kia ora tātou and welcome to Hard Hat Talk. I'm your host, Greg Ward, and you're with the Building Officials Institute of New Zealand. Today we are talking with Rondo Building Services. Rondo Building Services are a market-leading manufacturer of quality, lightweight roller-formed steel wall and ceiling framing products and a provider of compliant design solutions for the construction industry. With us are Country Manager New Zealand Darren Lees and Technical Manager Tony Rutter. Great to have you with us, Darren and Tony.
Thanks for having us along, Greg.
Hey, thank you, Greg. Thanks for your time.
Well, we'd love to know more about Rondo Building Services and the products and services that you supply to the industry. So firstly, let's get into the technicalities. Tony, first for you, are all steel products exactly like for like?
No, Greg. Firstly, the coils are sourced from different manufacturers in Australasia, so different processes are accounted for that manufacturer. Also, too, through the rolling process, different rollers and processes and different profiles offer different strength to the final product. Not all products are created equal.
And just to add to that, Greg, is obviously whilst we're all working to a code, the way that we test, where we test and all of that. So when that's all brought together, that's generally done in an entire system. So then to take another product and then try and put that in and say that it's going to perform exactly the same, yeah, you might get lucky and it may do that. But when the sum of all the parts are brought together and a building's designed, the part that Rondo plays in supporting the walls and the ceiling and the way that we test, and then you put a different product in, then you may get a different outcome. And that is highly risky to anyone that's involved in the project process.
Thank you for that. I'll come back to that a little later on. Tony mentioned that we brought steel in via Australasia and further afield. Rondo have undertaken an investigation over the past 18 months on imported steel. What have you uncovered?
We instigated an investigation about 18 months ago because we were suspicious on some of the technical data that was being published on companies' own websites and some of the performance of those products that were happening within the construction process. So we utilised independent laboratories externally to Rondo. And when they tested these products, it was found that they not only were below what was being published, they were outside of what the code would allow for. So with a BMT, which is a base metal thickness, the code allows for a plus or minus 5% differential. And what we were finding is that when some of these products were tested independently, they were in excess of 20% out, which, going back to the previous question, when you say is all steel like for like, when something's designed to a Rondo specification and then you go and use a product that is 20% below what is published, then that can have some significant consequence on what's happening. So we have now published that information. If you go to either the Rondo New Zealand or Rondo Australia website, you will see a piece in there called Cutting Corners, and we've actually published all of that information. So that is in the public domain for people to use.
Thank you very much, and that's a fantastic resource for industry right across the board. Talking around those elements of mixing and matching where a Rondo product and a non-Rondo product are used. For our Boynes inspectors, while they're on site, how do we identify that a Rondo product has been installed?
Firstly, during the manufacturing process of most of our roll product, we use an inkjet, which identifies usually on the edge of the product, which would firstly have our brand name on there, the product code, along with the time and date of manufacture. So not only does that give the inspector the ability to identify the product and the thickness in some cases of the profile, but also if there are any issues with that product, we can go back and find what coil was used in that process. Also, too, our clips are all stamped with our brand name and part codes on them, clips and brackets.
So that gives our inspectors a very simple way of tracking and tracing, essentially.
Correct. That's correct, yeah.
Excellent. So I'll come back to you, Darren, now. How does Rondo support the wider industry to ensure that buildings are being built to code?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. We do this in a multitude of ways. Firstly, through our technical documentation that we publish. So we publish something called a Pro Series, and there are two sets, one of which is for ceilings, like key lock, and the other is for steel wall studs. The Keylock and Pro Series manuals are just going through a full update at the moment. Keylock is now fully updated and now published on our website. And within the next month, we will see the stud manuals also get published electronically. These are included all of the updates that have happened to code since 2020 and will be fully complied with. And this allows any architect or engineer that's designed anything to be guided through the Rondo engineering process on how our products work as an entire system. On top of that, we're the only lightweight steel roll forming business that employs fully qualified engineers on our staff. We have two of them based in Auckland. So if anybody needs any assistance with design, we've got two fully qualified engineers that can help with that. On top of that, we work with third-party engineering companies in helping contractors, main contractors, get PS1s and to be able to assist them in doing that. We also have the Rondo warranty, where Rondo systems are used that can be dependent on what complementary products go on. Those warranties can be anywhere from 10 to 50 years. We also give CPD presentations, which allows us to educate the industry on things that really matter. So if any of the members are looking for any CPD, we can come out and we can do those presentations. And then finally, we undertake seismic testing, working with globally recognized institutions. So we've just finished some work in Canterbury just after Christmas. And then straight after that, we went after Taiwan, where we were doing multi-story seismic testing up to 5 stories over there. We helped with the assistance of designing and with the results, and we bring those results back to Australia and New Zealand, and that helps us design better systems more efficiently.
So really a holistic wraparound level of support for our industry.
Yeah, absolutely. We try and offer the full package to be able to assist people.
Tony, I'm going to come back to you now. Darren made some mention around the elements of engineering. Can you give us an overview of what's the difference between preliminary design, PS1 and PS4, and who can do that?
Preliminary design is a term that's been around a while. Generally, we can provide our customers, architects and contractors, with a specific design. Now, the difference between the specific design, this would be come from our two in-house engineers, whereas a PS1 would come from a registered external engineer. The reason why the PS1 is usually requested from council is the PS1 itself has the registered engineer's liability insurance behind the design. So the pathway is generally the PS1 would be issued to the contractor or client. The contractor themselves would sign a PS3 on completion of their work to say that they've constructed it exactly as is designed. The issuing engineer would perform construction monitoring on site. And then the final sort of piece in the puzzle is the PS4 from the registered engineer to say that they inspected the job and it is all good.
Thank you very much indeed to both of you and to Rondo Building Services for the work that you do and the close association that you have with us as the Building Officials Institute of New Zealand.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, Greg.
We've been speaking there with Darren Lees and Tony Rutter from Rondo Building Services. Great to have them here with us, and it's fantastic to have their close association for us here at the Building Officials Institute of New Zealand. You're here with Hard Hat Talk. Look out for further updates on information critical to you, our members of BOINS. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Greg Ward. We'll see you soon. Ka kite.